Welcome to the Woodpreneur podcast, the #1 podcast for the business and marketing side of the lumber, woodworking, hardwood flooring, and sawmill industry. I'm your host, Steve from Acres of Timber. Each week, we feature various wood business owners and entrepreneurs from around the globe. We share their stories, paths, insights so that you can network, learn, and grow your own wood business. Thank you so much for listening. Now enjoy the episode. The Woodpreneur podcast is proudly sponsored by Acres CRM. Acres CRM is the wood industry's only customer relationship management software dedicated to helping you automate your sales and marketing so that you can focus on serving your customers and growing your business. You can visit acresoftimber.com to learn more and to schedule a demo. Once again, that's acresoftimber.com. Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. This is your host, Steve. And today's guest is Tom Fox from TruCut Mills and Fox Forestry. How you doing, Tom?
Great. It's great to be here, Steve. Thank you.
Yeah, the last time I had you on the podcast was in 2019, before the blip. That's what I'm calling the pandemic, the blip. So tell everybody what you've been up to since we last had you on the podcast.
Yeah, so since 2019, we're running both forestry equipment sales and also forestry management. So we're based out of the coast of Maine, and we've got a full sort of tree service, timber harvesting, land management company in addition to our equipment sales. So we've maintained that through the pandemic. We've been able to, fortunately, in this industry, as a lot of your listeners already know, this is a great industry for a pandemic because you're often by yourself and or in the forest away from a big crowd of people. So we continued with that business, and then we also started working with equipment companies that can help us with our forest management. And we have sold a lot of worked with a lot of people and have been doing basically forest management tools. So we have Yappa firewood processors from Finland, we have the Logisol machines from Sweden, and we have the TruCut wide cut sawmills made here in the United States in Kentucky. So that's what we've been up to, Steve. It's been busy.
Yeah, that's great. And you come from a very unique perspective. So your background is in forestry, forest management, tree service, right? And went to school for that, right?
So I am trained. Yeah, I'm trained as a forest technician in Paul Smith College in upstate New York, back 94 to 96 when it was a 2-year school. And then I got graduate degrees from the University of Maine in silviculture and forestry. And so in 96, I actually started Fox Forestry and worked in this trade with my own company since I've been while I was even in college. So what I do basically is write forest management plans. Actually, I should rephrase that. That's kind of what I used to do. We have a team of foresters now that work with us, and I review the plans, and I'll still go through the process with them. But from the beginning, we're managing people's trees. So I've always been fascinated with spacing, correct forest management techniques. I've been working on a silvicultural basis, and then I've always been really interested in how can we get the most value out of our work. Okay. And what got me into the sawmill business was I needed the sawmills to present a commercial interest to the state of Maine Forest Service so that we could take industrial forestry regulations and apply them on smaller woodlots that were residentially owned. So we needed the Logisol machines to travel out to the outer islands, and I used these to get state forestry permits and actually build a forest products industry on these islands. And now we're selling our sawmills to the fishermen that live on the islands and managing the trees that grow on the islands. And we've created these really interesting, vibrant communities along the coast of Maine.
That's such a community and an ecosystem that you have developed there. And so what, so now you're starting to sell mills. And I think the biggest thing, which is like fairly new, is the TruCut mill, right? And so that, talk about how you started, repping that and selling that.
Yeah. So obviously we've got a lot of customers from all over the United States, and everybody has a different set of criteria that they need to solve. And so when we're working with these people throughout where there's big trees, and with the guys that are making a lot of slabs, we started discussing this with some of our other equipment manufacturers. And the TruCut mills came to us just about a year ago, I would say. We got involved with in this because of the other dealer had passed away because of COVID, and so we met with manufacturers. I went down and looked at their setup. I wasn't 100% sure, but these guys are top class. Okay. And these mills are Amish made. I went down to the facility several times. We met with them. It's a couple of families. These are really well built. And I got involved with more. Well, there's basically two sets of customers, but they're all the customers that are getting into this live edge market is one, and the customers that are already in it and that are looking for another bandsaw mill solution. So I started connecting with these people and going to the sawmills and learning what they're doing and what their diameter capacities were. And what I found out was there was a huge need for these things. And what I also found out was this is exactly where your highest value is. So being focused on how to help the customers with the highest value, whether it's managing your forest or whether it's managing the logs that are in your log yard. If it's got to do with wood, this is where I have been an expert my entire career. So it was fascinating for me. I started meeting with these customers and seeing what people had either on the ground. And as you know, Steve, this industry in this marketplace is full of potential. Some of this potential is already realized, and some of this potential is sitting in logs in the yard. So when when I interview and when I talk with a TruCut customer, I'll ask a couple of questions. I'll ask, what is the maximum diameter your mill can cut right now? And then I'll say, okay, tell me about your wood yard. How many logs do you have? How many logs are over the size that your mill can cut? And then of that, what's the percentage that you can't really handle right now? And what's the value of that percentage? And usually when we start working together and we start talking about this, it's like a light bulb comes off, and now you're looking at, instead of walking by all these logs that you can't handle, it's like walking by shipping containers full of $100 bills. You just turn this log yard into, you understand the value. And as soon as we can get that value understood, we can help you, and so that's how I got involved with this. And now we got a lot of momentum, and the family is really grateful to be working with us, and I am with them. And there's nothing like helping our customers,
And give me an example of the type of people that have been getting the TruCut mill, because this is, people have heard of TruCut. It's been around. It's a big blue wide mill. John Malecki has one. What describe the type of businesses that these people are running, and who do you think it's truly for?
Well, the TruCut mill could be, it could be truly for the guy that's just getting started. Okay, you might be looking at getting into the sawmill industry, and we've got a lot of brand new TruCut customers that really don't have a lot of experience cutting these big slabs. However, when they look at buying a sawmill, they're like, I already know 8 or 10 people that have these smaller bandsaw mills in my neighborhood. And so they're like, I really want to have something that is different than everybody else. And I really want to get access to they understand that the value in the wide slab market is how big can you make it, you know? So some of our customers are either, you know, already in a maker business, or in a, you know, they might be buying slabs from somebody, or they might be taking logs to another sawmill to turn them into slabs, and then they pay the sawmill for the slabs, and then from that group we also have like the guys that are retired, and they're ready to do something, and they can afford to get into these big mills. I'd say that, so those are our new customers that are entering into the market, and then we have the customers that have been in this business. They're seasoned veterans. They're seasoned sawmill owners. They know the capacity of the equipment. They understand the limitations of their own machines, and they're looking to grow and to get to the next level of production, because these mills are going to increase the speed at which you can produce these high value logs. So if you're air drying these for a while, and then you're going to put them in a vacuum kiln, or you're going to put them in a traditional kiln, the faster you can get these logs through and stickered, the sooner you're getting your paycheck. So if you're looking at a whole bunch of logs that you can't handle, whether it's with a Lucas mill or whether it's with a traditional Alaskan mill, I mean, what these TruCut mills will just gobble it up and turn days into hours. So we're working with a lot of companies that already have existing customer base. They already have a drying facility. And now this TruCut mill and the surfacer really is the last tool that they need to really leverage their current situation.
That's pretty amazing that there's an option out there for the big wide mill, because right now the only options really are Lucas, which is a chainsaw, or an Alaskan mill, again with the chainsaw, which requires a ton of back effort, right?
Yeah, and we have the Logosol Big Slabber. The Logosol Big Mill Slabber is another nice option. I mean, the Logosol Slabber is it's a lot more portable than the Lucas, a little easier to set up. It also is a little less labor intensive than the Alaskan mill because of the rail system. It's going to fetch the saw is going to fetch up on the rail system and then roll, and then you're going to pull it with a string instead of like say pushing it. But these guys that are running these chainsaw mills are rugged guys that understand what it takes to get these slabs roughed out. And you know, I would say that it doesn't take too many years of running that before you're like, I need to find another solution. So some of these customers are coming to us, they're skipping their tuition 5 years of running a chainsaw mill, and they're going right into a bandsaw mill.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I see automatically that even if you are milling, you're not milling for like with a chainsaw mill, you're not, or like even with the Lucas, you're not really, and I like the Lucas a lot just because of its portability, and but you're not running it all the time. With something like a stationary TruCut, you can truly get into wide slab production, right?
Oh yeah.
Where even even if you sort of dial in your operations, like you can produce a lot of lumber.
Oh yeah.
It's like
And
a difference, right? Because like
it is a difference.
if you have a Lucas, you have an Alaskan mill, what will end up happening is like you'll mill in spurts and then you'll use it, and then a couple months will go by and then you'll mill in some more spurts, versus if you have a you know, a storefront, you have existing customers, but you have really big logs, or if you want to get into the volume game, then you can kind of step up and get a TruCut. Is that right?
Well, it is. And the guys that really understand this are using this for more than just slabs. Okay. So these things are fully hydraulic. Okay. You're gonna have a speed controller going forward. These things are going up and down, and the accuracy is unbelievable. So we have one customer that's actually milling out 3/8 of an inch, 32-foot long white oak flooring consistently, and then running it through the kiln. And then they're selling it wholesale to a flooring manufacturing company who's then ripping it down into 8-inch wide, and then they're using the scraps as the backer to the flooring. Okay. These mills are also making guitar faces. These mills are also quarter sawing so that you can, it's got a 26-inch throat. So you can take these huge logs, quarter saw them, and then with your forks, you can take those quarters and put them on your smaller bandsaw mill, and you can start working with the grain patterns. Now, the veteran sawyer is going to understand what I'm talking about here, because these can allow you to quarter saw. You can start using the grains in different patterns, and you know, it's not just a slab mill at that point, you know.
That's really, that's, I mean, talk about sort of competitive advantage. What do you think is the what do you think sort of people, like the checklist for folks needs to be in order for them to get into this? Like, you know what, like I do have some mills, or I want a differentiator because everybody around me has an LT40 or LT50, right?
Sure.
And like, and like, so this is potentially a differentiator, right, for you
Yeah.
if you're going to enter this industry. What do you think is like the checklist that people need to uh sort of think about before they sort of, you know, seriously consider this?
Yeah. I mean, to start off, these are not small machines. Okay. So you're gonna, the first thing you want to check off is, number one, where am I gonna put this thing? I want to know, do you have room in your log yard? Is this go, where's this going? Are you going to do it on a concrete slab? You can put these on a gravel pad. I mean, we have the option for the gravel pad is actually quite good. We have these I-beam ground beds that are fully welded. So that needs to be considered. The I-beams can go on a concrete slab. We do have rails that we sell on the concrete for the concrete slab, but basically it's space. I mean, a 96-inch mill and a 70-inch mill, I mean, we're talking about minimum 20 by 40 cement slab or gravel pad. So we want to make sure that you got room for it. And then the other thing is a lot of people are surprised at how, you know, they are 70-inch mill, but I want to let you know that these throats, these adjustable guide rails, are going to close in. The 70-inch mill is going to close into 40 inches. So you can use this on smaller wood. In fact, some people have even put two 40-inch logs together, milled them at the same time on the 96. But the 96-inch mill will close into 48 inches. So basically, for the guys that are in urban areas that have access to larger logs, the checklist for them is, am I looking for something that can do more than these 50-inch mills? And if they can say yes, you know, even 40% or 20% of my logs are oversized for what I have, the value that these people can get in that extension of width is amazing. So we want to know, A, can you get the logs? B, do you have the logs? If so, how many? Let's do a little, do you already have a customer base? If you don't, where are you located? We want to see, don't have to be in an urban area, but, looking to see who your customers are. Where are you living? What kind of species do you have in your local neighborhood? And now we're talking about the volumes that you can do. When you buy one of these, you're going to be the center of the universe in your neighborhood for large logs, hands down. So it doesn't take too many weeks for everybody to find you. So be prepared for that. A lot of guys are doing wholesale and doing direct to customer.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too, if you start to think about it, if you can cut that wide, if you form some really good partnerships with some makers and developers, they will love you because you're able to provide a product that nobody else has. Like, who else has like that wide of slabs around, period? Nobody.
Yeah.
Except in like some third world country, right? Like where they're manually doing it by hand and loading it into a kiln and putting it onto a container to like,
yeah.
Now you have the capability of being able to do that in your own town if you're lucky enough to have one. That's really, I really like focusing on products that can truly help people, because really your niche as a woodpreneur could be in the types of products that you produce, but your real differentiator could be in the equipment that you have, right? You have the equipment, it helps you produce a different product. You have a different product, you cater to a different audience.
Yeah, you do. And, when we're talking about scaling our companies, we also want to talk about the diversification of your business. Okay. So I am blessed with this opportunity to really connect with a lot of our sawyers, and I get to listen to see how they're doing, and these sawyers have the most amazing relationships with the tree service companies around them. And then they also have these amazing relationships with the makers around them. So they're actually the link pin, between the tree service and the maker. And so one company was taking the tree service wood, and they would always offer the tree service the slabs. I'll give you half of the slabs, or I'll give you this. And then they started offering a percentage of the sale of the slab to the tree service, because they really wanted to keep that tree service happy.
Amazing.
And they also wanted to keep their buyers happy. So they turned this into a big event. And then the buyers got to come look at the logs, and then they created an event where it was like, hey, we're going to open this thing up. I know there's only going to be 7 or 8 slabs. You guys want to come in here, get first dibs. We're going to be doing this on a certain day. And then boom, you got momentum,
That's really awesome, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And so there are a lot of creative guys out there, and gals and couples and families,
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that idea I used to do back in the day. I used to do art auctions, and they were charity art auctions. And for one thing, if you go out to an artist and you ask the artist, hey, can you donate a piece of artwork? You're like, all right, I'll give you the smallest one. But if you say, hey, look, give me some good art and I will split it 50-50 with you, then they're going to give you their biggest, best art, because they're going to. And so I love that idea of being able to go to tree service people, especially with high volume ones. Then they're going to look at this really, really, really big, 150-year-old oak tree.
Yeah.
And be like, I'm going to give it to Tom, because Tom's going to make me some money with this.
Yeah. And the last time, you should see what these guys did with it, and it just builds the momentum. And the guys that are involved with this it doesn't take much to get started. That's the beauty of this, Steve, is like, it doesn't, the TruCut customer comes in two different colors. One, brand new, a little bit green, but excited, enthusiastic, and ready to take some risk. Okay.
Yeah.
You could get paid in spades with that type of attitude and that type of enthusiasm. And that
Yeah.
kind, these entrepreneurs are brave crew of people. Okay. And they're getting as much, if not more, success from the veterans. The veterans, they also are brave people, or they wouldn't be where they've been. The veterans actually have the blood, sweat, and tears on the Alaska mill that they won't sell used, because they'd rather look at it in their garage and say, I remember when I used to push this down the log. Those were the days, So we've been blessed with these customers, and they're a very creative group of people,
So, not only are you like a dude that sells sawmill equipment, but like you're a pretty accomplished entrepreneur. You've been in business almost on
25 years.
25 years, right? So like,
yeah.
I normally at the end of a podcast ask people to give advice. Like I give advice to folks. But 25 years as an entrepreneur, you probably got some lessons that you've learned yourself. And also too, I know that you invest in a lot of mentorship. Like you joined my mentorship program too. And
oh, sure.
And so I guess my question to you is like, how did you sustain and grow your business? And even still now, like Tom is in Maine, but he's an international man of mystery. This man, because of like him being a woodpreneur and a tree, forestry person, like he does deals in Europe and in Africa. Like he's the real deal, and which is why I'm linked up with him. And so like, tell everybody just like what do you think the keys to your success are, like for newer woodpreneurs, like what advice would you give them?
Well, I could do this without trying to say too cliche here, Steve, but I will say that not being afraid to have really big goals, okay, things you can't see. That has been I face this with my staff. I face this sometimes, not much less with my family. My family has already, my parents and my kids, they kind of they know I'm already, my wings are already spread and I'm already on my way. And it's always, most of the way, it's going up just a little bit. Sometimes it's going down, but I would say my goals have been to create a worldwide forest management, forest products company, so I have kept that it's imprinted in my DNA, and I'm working closer towards it. And when I get into an opportunity, as a lot of your listeners are going to get to, okay, opportunity is everywhere, right? But if you don't have a definitive goal, you're going to get confused with all this opportunity. Okay. So my advice is, you got to be a little bit focused with where you want to go and how you're going to get there. And if you have that ability to get focused on that goal and you can really lock into that goal, then all of these opportunities, they're either, number one, they're going to make sense to you and you're going to move closer to them, or number two, it's going to roll away from you. It's going to roll off of you, and you're not going to lose sleep about it because it's not in line with your goal. Okay. Now, the second piece of advice that I have for these guys, and for myself included, is you have to learn how to not take things personal. Please do not get upset over tiny shit that really doesn't matter. You got to maintain an attitude, and the bigger the risk, the harder it is to maintain that attitude. Okay. So you got to be able to look at the risk in the face, maintain the attitude, identify with it. Is this part of my goal? Is this decision that I'm so scared about, or that I've got risk involved, is that decision taking me closer to my goal or farther away? And if you can get good at this and you can start looking at this opportunity that's always in front of you, and you can almost like a dog in the wind when he puts his nose up, you're like, oh my goodness, I think I'm going to go in this direction. And he knows what's there. You know what I mean? And then so focus on what you want. Focus on the big picture. Get a big picture. Right now, some of my biggest risks right now, Steve, we're building a worldwide command center in a worldwide forestry equipment theme park. So here in Maine, we've got a facility right now that we've been clearing the trees, and we've got a 3-story structure, and I've got all of my goal too is also to share this equipment and share these techniques with everybody. But I also want to have this community of people. I want these entrepreneurs and these woodworking professionals. These are a group of people that really want to touch and feel. They want to touch, feel, try, understand. And then they're like, okay, what's in it? What can I, and then the light bulb goes off. They're like, I can see how I can use that machine now. I can see actually how I can use that machine in 4 different ways. I could make bundle camp wood. I could process firewood. I could use those, I could make the boards and do this. I could wholesale it. I could do, and I know that you've done a really good job of like community building. I admire that. You're in a class of your own when it comes to Woodpreneur hashtags and Instagram, and I just love that, Steve. And being able to have a facility where people can come and try and touch, and then take their families also to Acadia National Park and be close to like some of our benefits of the coast of Maine, lobsters while they're still here in the cold water. I mean, we're still be ready for the cold temperatures up here, but yeah, so these are some of our hurdles. And again, like looking at I want to have the equipment that is going to help the customer with the most, and I also want to chase the value of the trees, and I have done this with a lot of passion through my career. I'm a very enthusiastic man. I have always steered a straight course, although sometimes we're tacking in the boat, sometimes it's left and sometimes it's right, but maintain the attitude, clear focus, know what your opportunities are, get the work done, go to work.
Man, that was awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Steve.
Yeah, no,
Thanks for having me.
This is great, man. I greatly appreciate your insight and the relationship, and we met. So for those that don't know, Tom and I met in 2019 at Lagasal in Sweden. So we're one of the few Americans there, and I got to really see Tom's passion for what he does, and I love working with passionate people. So yeah, I'm really, really grateful that you get to, that I love to see you evolve your business, and you've been working on this theme park for a little while, and I'm glad that it's coming together. So
yeah, thank you.
Cool, man. So how can people get in touch? What's the website for TruCut?
Yeah, so right now, please get in touch with, you can look us up at trucutmills.com. We're also on, we're on Facebook, TruCut Mills. We're on Instagram at TruCut Mills. And you can call us. You can call us at 207-667-6703. That's the office. You're going to want to press 1 for sales on that call. And then you can always send an email directly to us. And the email is trucutmills@foxforestry.com. And that's trucutmills@foxforestry.com. And We'd love to, I'd love to talk to you guys. If anybody has any questions about this, I can go in much deeper detail, specific to your needs. So, for those of you that know your opportunity and you're like, and the light bulb just clicked, get in touch with me. We can help you.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much, Tom, for your expertise and sharing your love and knowledge of the field. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Take care.
All right. Take care. Thanks so much for listening to the Woodpreneur podcast, the #1 podcast for the business and marketing side of the lumber, woodworking, hardwood flooring, and sawmill industry. If you like what you heard, please give us a 5-star rating and review. You can also tap into our community by visiting woodpreneurlife.com. Once again, that's woodpreneurlife.com.